Balloons and UFOs. Here's what happened and what we know. Now, this is crazy, crazy stuff going on. Uh, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. They're pretending like they're actually like Biden is actually doing something. The only reason he's doing something about these things is because people see it and we know about it. He's really not speaking out against it. From the last I checked, he tweeted about uh, corporations and didn't mention anything about China basically invading our sovereign airspace. It's ridiculous. He can't really come out and speak tough on China because China owns him, and he knows they're gonna release some crap if he speaks out against China. So that's why China is getting away with doing all this spying and stuff that they're doing, because I can guarantee that if Trump was in office, this stuff would not be happening. The majority of Americans know this to be true, and we seeing how weak Biden really is. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store where I Will Not Comply t-shirts. So check those out as well. All right, let's talk about this news. New UFO sightings appear to be popping up all around the United States over the past few days. In the weeks since the U.S. military shot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon off the coast of South Carolina, officials say at least three other strange flying objects have been blasted out of the sky. And there have been multiple additional incidents leading to the temporary restrictions in pockets of the sky around the Midwest. I mean, the stuff that's happening is just crazy. Again, China is doing this because they know they can get away with it. They know that Biden is weak because they got something on them, so they could continue to make a mockery of our airspace. Um, in the most recent development, the U.S. military shot down a UFO, and I use it by every sense of the term, unidentified flying object over Lake Huron on Sunday. So let's check out this clip from MSNBC. They did a report on it. So let's check it out here. Let me share my screen so you guys can see this. All right, here we go.
A lot of questions about this object. This is just really developing in the last couple of minutes or so, and it comes, remember, as they were exploring potentially another object that Raiders got a hit on over Montana overnight, one that Senator John Tester, the Democrat from Montana, just today said they were still investigating. It's not clear whether this is the same object that perhaps moved across to the Michigan lakes, or if this is another object. This would mean it's the fourth one that the U.S. has shot down since about a week ago when they first shot down the Chinese surveillance balloon, and there really are more questions here than answers. Courtney Cubie and I are able to report that this object was shot down and that there does not appear to be collateral damage, and that they do expect to recover this object, whatever it was, because again, this is different from perhaps the first three that we saw. Chuck Schumer today, the Senate Majority Leader, saying that he received a briefing from Jake Sullivan overnight, who said that these are all different objects than the first one, that Chinese surveillance balloon that spanned the size of 2 to 3 buses big. These are all appearing different in shape and size. We don't know yet if this has anything to do with the Chinese government or whether it is something else. So just a lot of things that we still don't know yet, but it's very clear that U.S. officials in defense and intelligence are zeroing in on these objects and trying to detect them at a much quicker pace. So that's all we know right now. We'll bring you more as we have it.
Again,
A lot of questions.
That is China basically flaunting that they can do whatever they want, invade our airspace, and our president is not even going to speak about it. Literally, he doesn't talk about it yet, as of now. I'm sure he'll get people like myself, and he'll hear people blasting him on not talking about it. He'll be sooner or later probably come out with something weak talking about what's going on. But again, they're basically showing us that, hey, we'll do this stuff, and you guys aren't going to do anything about it because your president is weak. But quote, I've been in contact with DOD regarding operations across the Great Lakes region today, tweeted Rep. Jack Bergman on Sunday afternoon. Quote, the U.S. military has decommissioned another object over Lake Huron. I appreciate the decisive action by our fighter pilots. The American people deserve far more answers than we have. And I agree, we do deserve more answers than what we have. Our White House again is silent on it. I think Jean Pierre did come out and say something about it when she was on the news, when she was on an interview, but really, it really didn't make any sense to what she was saying. I wish I had that clip here, but I don't. But hours earlier, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer told ABC News' George Stephanopoulos he discussed the situation with National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan the night before and shared that U.S. officials believe the UFOs shot down after being observed over a remote part of Alaska and Canada were balloons. These objects were, quote, much smaller than the balloon shot down over the Atlantic Ocean last weekend, Schumer said, and they were flying at a lower altitude of about 40,000 feet, endangering commercial aircraft. It's crazy. So let me get this clip together here.
We're joined now by the Senate.
1 second, and let's check it out. Here we go.
Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Senator, thank you for coming in this morning.
Great to be here, George. First time in 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a while since COVID. I want to start with this question over the Chinese spy planes and other aerial objects. 3 incidents in a week. President Biden took some heat from your Democratic colleagues for not shooting down the spy balloon sooner. What can you tell us about these last 2 incidents, Friday and Saturday night? And are you confident in the overall administration response?
Yes, I was briefed by Jake Sullivan last night, so let me get right to it. And I'll give a little background and then get to your specific. The bottom line is, until a few months ago, we didn't know of these balloons. Our intelligence and our military did not know. This went as far back as President Trump, at least 3 times.
It's wild that we didn't know, isn't it?
It is wild that we didn't know, absolutely, and I'll get to that in a minute. Now they are learning a lot more. And the military and the intelligence are focused like a laser on first gathering and accumulating the information, then coming up with a comprehensive analysis of what went on before, what's going on now, and what could go on in the future. You can be sure that if any American interests or people are at risk, they'll take appropriate action. Until they get that comprehensive analysis, however, we have to look at each balloon individually.
Were these
and see
balloons
what
Friday and
done.
Saturday night?
They believe they were, yes, but much smaller than the first one. Both of those, one over Canada, one over Alaska, were at 40,000 feet. Immediately, it was determined that that's a danger to commercial aircraft, which also fly at 40.
Well, this whole thing is a danger. This whole thing is a danger. Again, it's China showing us how weak our president is. They're saying, hey, we'll fly over your country. And your president is not going to do anything about it. All right, let's go back to this interview.
1,000 feet, and so the second one in cooperation with the Canadians, the first one with the Americans, took it down, and that's appropriate. The first balloon, there was a much different rationale, which I think was the appropriate rationale. We got enormous intelligence information from surveilling the balloon as it went over the United States
Didn't the
and
Chinese
watching.
get enormous intelligence as well?
Well, they could have.
That's a great. We got enormous intelligence information by allowing them to go over our installations, our military installations, and spy on our military installations. We got great intel off of that. Like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous propaganda, lies they're trying to cover up. Like, it makes no sense. So, you're gonna allow them to fly over the entire country and say we did it because we're getting intelligence from this. That's ridiculous. That's the dumbest excuse I've heard so far.
We've been getting it anyway, but we have to know what they're doing, okay? And we don't know exactly, but we got a lot of that. And even more importantly, by shooting it down over water, U.S. waters, only 6 miles out from South Carolina, we're going to probably be able to piece together this whole surveillance balloon and know exactly what's going on. So that's a huge coup for the United States.
This program is going to have to be shut down now, hasn't it? The Chinese aren't going to be able to send balloons.
Look, I think the Chinese were humiliated. I think the Chinese were caught lying.
No, Chinese wasn't humiliated. Our government was humiliated because we allowed them to do it. And they continue sending more balloons and more objects in our space. So they're not the ones being humiliated. He's full of crap. He's just covering for Biden. He knows Biden looks weak. Biden is the one humiliated. Our government is the ones that's humiliated, not China. And he's just basically just caping for Biden.
And I think it's a real step back for them. Yes, I think they're going to have to. I think they're probably going to have to get rid of it or do something because they look really bad. And they're not just doing the United States. This is a crew of balloons. We saw one in South America. They've probably been all over the world.
So what do we do now to counter China overall? If they're clearly taking more provocative actions.
Yeah. And one more point I'd make on this, by the way. I do think Senator Tester is looking into why it took so long for us, our military, our intelligence to know about these balloons. That's something I support. Congress should.
It didn't take too long for them to know about these balloons. It took them. They didn't tell our government about it for some odd reason. And y'all know what the reason I think is. It's because I think General Milley, he's another Chinese sympathizer. He's bought and paid for by China, so he allowed this to happen. Is what I think is going on.
Look at that. That's the question we have to answer. I think our military, our intelligence are doing a great job, present and future. I feel a lot of confidence in what they're doing. But why, as far back as the Trump administration, did no one know about this? Now, on China in general, look, China. I have always been a China hawk, but China is the second biggest power in the world, economically, geopolitically. We can't just have a Cold War with them. We have to have a relationship with them. But China's taken advantage of us over and over and over again. And this administration has been just about tougher than any other. The bill I passed, the Chips and Science bill, is going to bring all that semiconductor manufacturing back to America. Just the other day, I was in East Fishkill, the old IBM plant, a new company.
Okay, that's enough of this. He's ridiculous. He's ridiculous here. I can't continue to I can't continue to watch that bull crap that he's spewing. But with salvage operations underway, Schumer said U.S. military and intelligence officials are focused on gathering and accumulating information. A comprehensive analysis will follow, the senator added. Now, Pentagon spokesman General Patrick Ryder said on Friday the UFO shot down over Alaska was, quote, about the size of a small car and not smaller in size or shape, excuse me, to the suspected Chinese surveillance balloon. The Pentagon said recovery teams were deployed to collect debris on top of ice in U.S. Territorial waters per CNN. And Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau first announced on Saturday a U.S. Air Force fighter jet shot down a UFO flying over the Yukon. He said Canadian forces will recover and analyze the wreckage of the object shot down over the Yukon. Canadian Defense Minister Anita Anand said the UFO appeared to be a small cylindrical object. Sorry, I was struggling with that word. But, so let me get that video ready of her and what she has to say. It's only a few seconds long here. Oops, bear with me while I get this video ready. Here we go.
Du territoire canadien au Yukon. Recovery operations are now underway and will be supported by the Canadian Armed Forces in conjunction with the RCMP. This coordinated operation will allow a further investigation into this object. We have no further details about the object at this time, other than it appears to be a small cylindrical object and smaller than the one that was downed off the coast of North Carolina. I also spoke today. Crazy
stuff that's going on here. again, it's showing how bold China has become under President Biden's regime. A little more information has been formally released through official government channels, and unlike the suspected Chinese spy balloon, there have been no reliable images of the other aircraft that have emerged. The suspected Chinese spy balloon was much larger than the UFOs that followed and was flying at a higher altitude that apparently did not endanger commercial aircraft, according to U.S. officials. A senior State Department official said the vessel was equipped with, quote, multiple antennas capable of collecting signals, intelligence, according to NBC News. So, again, it's a spy balloon, basically. While concerns have been raised about why the military did not shoot down the balloon sooner as it transited a wide swath of the United States, the Pentagon stressed the danger of falling debris and even the possibility of the vessel carrying explosives. China claims the vessel was a civilian weather balloon that had been blown off course and condemned the United States for its decision to shoot the aircraft down. So all of those just happen to be weather balloons, China? There have been other potential sightings in the past 24 hours. Now, North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, detected what it called a, quote, radar anomaly leading to a temporary flight restriction over the central part of Montana on Saturday night. But a fighter aircraft sent to investigate, quote, did not identify any object to correlate the radar hits, and the restriction was lifted, NORAD said. Quote, I am in constant communication with NORCOM, and they have just advised me that they have confidence the IS an object, and there is an object, and it was not an anomaly, tweeted Rep. Matt Rosendale on Sunday. Quote, I am waiting now to receive visual confirmation. Our nation's security is my priority, he goes on to say. And also on Sunday, the Federal Aviation Administration temporarily closed a section of airspace mostly over northern Lake Michigan in support of the national defense situation. It was not immediately clear whether the temporary air restriction over Lake Michigan was connected to the object shot down over Lake Huron to the east on the other side of the state of Michigan. Authorities in China said they witnessed a UFO off the coast of a port city, a state-run newspaper claimed on Sunday. There were also reports that Uruguay's Air Force was investigating, quote, flashing lights in the sky. During his interview on ABC's this week, Schumer claimed the United States only discovered such fly objects dating back to the Trump administration within the past few months. That is crazy. Indeed, new reports have divulged intelligence about sightings of high-altitude balloons believed to be from China around places such as Florida and Hawaii. Quote, it's wild that we didn't know, Schumer said. He added later, quote, now they are learning a lot more, and the military and intelligence are focused like lasers, he kept saying, on first gathering and accumulating the information, then coming up with the comprehensive analysis, which I think, again, is ridiculous. So you can allow it to come over and collect all this information, and then you shoot it down later. Again, the only reason why he shot it down because there's such a backlash of what was really going on. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out DemarcoPublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.